All right. Hey, my name is Phil the Cruz. Welcome back. Happy New Year, Cruising with Phil. Welcome back, guest from last year. What? Been over a year since the first time I had you, Anthony?
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like your yearly visit.
just checking in. My
So
little check.
welcome, Anthony Lewis, community great advocate.
Oh,
How
thanks, man.
you? Hey, I like the beard going back. Eh? It's
Yeah,
good.
my wife doesn't like it, but hey,
Why does she like it?
because she thinks it's very scruffy.
Oh, okay, okay. It makes more like a roughy kind of man, rough man.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. So introduce yourself. I don't know who you are.
All right. I am Anthony Lewis. I am a husband, father, uh, very invested in my community. I work for the city of Toronto as a business and financial analyst, and I'm here with my good friend Phil.
Oh, cool. Now you said you changed last time we talked, you changed positions, right?
Correct. So I started this position about 7 months ago. It's been
Okay.
really nice. It's been a good position.
So what did you do before?
Before I worked in like accounting.
Okay.
So now this is more like analysis based.
Oh, nice. So it's like a promotion.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and it's more in line to what I like.
Oh, it's nice.
So like
That's great.
finance and data.
I know that's why I met you on Twitter. You're also good in numbers, remember?
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
I remember before I talked to you in person on Twitter there 2 years ago, you're like tweeting all these numbers on the I kept making a message. I was like, who's this guy with all these numbers? What are you, a calculator or what?
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's so good. So I got a funny bone to pick with you. I was
Oh,
watching.
oh,
I saw a picture on your Facebook just the other day,
okay.
and your son was taking your scarf.
Yes, yes.
That's so
Yeah.
cute. I like
He's
the words out of order. I said, "What do you mean out of? It's your son."
Yeah, I know. But he doesn't tell me these things. He just takes them and he goes, "Hey, look what I found." I'm like, "Did you find it or did you take it?" But yeah, it's really cool to see that he sees me as an inspiration in terms of like style and you know
Well, that's
how
good. You
to
made the. I'm glad you made the point because in defense of all children, especially your son. What's your son's name?
Miles.
Miles. Okay, in defense of Miles, I've never met him yet, but in defense of Miles, just from experience from nephews and nieces, it's also a sign I find of affection of being because you're not there in his presence. You know, like you're not
Mm,
there 24 hours. Like for example, my when I lived with my sister when I got in the military, the my nephew and niece were like she was like 4 and he was 6, so she
yeah.
was still at home. So he was a shift worker as a metro. No, not metro. He was worked for Durham Police now. He had switched over, so he had
Yeah.
shift work, right? So like for months, like stuff would go missing from his bedroom with my sisters, right? And then
Mhm.
we took it as a grain of salt. But then one day his wedding ring went missing.
Ooh, okay. That's
So we knew it was her taking it because we couldn't figure out why, and she couldn't remember where she put Zoe, a little baby, right? A little girl, right? So
yeah.
we went the ring went we searched high, low, even my bedroom because they never go to my bedroom with the kids, right? I said what?
Mhm.
So we went high, we searched everywhere for like 2 weeks. We couldn't find the ring. It was a little, there was a wedding ring engagement. I can't remember, and we couldn't find it. So anyway, we looked everywhere, right?
Mm,
So and he's upset because he took it as a token of like superstition, you know. He's
of
from
course.
Jamaica. He's Jamaican born, from
All right.
Montreal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The alien traditions and superstition. Anyway, so then we left it at that. But then we figured out through the months, it's her way of saying, because I was there 24 hours, like I was living with, even though I'm the uncle and godfather, I'm not the father. So it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
mean I can't take the place of the father. So we figured out that because whenever he'd come home, she would always be with him. And then when he go out to work, that's when she go, searching for stuff. So we figured
Right.
it's her way of saying having a piece of dad with her all the time because dad's away on shift work, right? So
Yeah.
I went
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was reading your
I
thing
never looked at it that way. I just looked at him just taking my stuff.
and then once he switched, sorry, he was still working with Metro. Then when he went to switch to Durham, became I think it was 9 to 5. So that's when the taking of things stopped, right? Because he
Yeah.
wasn't going
Yeah.
home often, right? Yeah. So I was reading your little thing, and by the way, your kids look so cute. Your little girl, she's
Oh,
so cute.
thank you.
What's her name?
Thank you. Sorry?
What's her name?
My daughter?
Yeah,
Yeah, Sadie.
Sadie. Yeah, I like that little cheeky face there. So cute. Reminds me of my
Yeah,
niece.
she's
Yeah, yeah.
she's she's a handful. She's a handful, but
But it's still funny because
I love her.
yeah, so in defense of like that's one aspect of looking at. Also, like they don't realize what they're doing. Like my brother-in-law, he's a Marvel's comics fan. I'm a DC comics fan. So
Okay.
So
You must
one
have
day,
both a lot of discussions on that.
we compete with his son. I take him to DC movies. He take him to Marvel movies.
Okay.
So
Why do you prefer DC over Marvel? Not that I'm biased or anything like that.
they're just more realistic, you
That's
know.
fair. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. And I'm not saying anything about anything against Marvel. I like Marvel too, but not as much as DC. I've been a DC
Yeah.
fan since for years, since a kid, you
Okay.
know. Yeah, so
That's so cool.
yeah, and he's a Marvel.
And I realize that's why a lot of people like DC. I like DC and Marvel, but I can see why people would like DC over Marvel for that specific reason.
Yeah, and also what I like about DC is early on the comics in the 60s and 70s when I was a kid, they actually had colored people become
Yeah.
superheroes.
Well,
Yeah.
well put. Yes, yes.
Yeah, because like the new Spider-Man come out. I heard saw your note your son's going to see with your new Spider-Man. He's a black guy, Spider
Yeah,
guy. So
yeah,
like in the DC comics, there was the first black Green Lantern before they expanded the whole rise of DC Grant Lee Lantern Corps order. So for
yeah.
those DC fans, the first black Green Lantern came on the scene in the comics. He's accepted because he was read by kids and us, but in like on TV, it would not be accepted back then, right?
Right,
So
right.
like so he's the first one of the, and there was also black characters back in the 60s, even the 50s of DC characters. And I'm not putting down Marvel, but I was looking at my history, but DC became the what's it called? What's the word? The precedents of things to come, whatever, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. So in that way.
Oh, well put. I actually learned something new about you. You're a comic book guy. Okay, that's another
Yeah, yeah.
thing
Oh
we can
yeah, I'm a
talk.
graphic novel guy. I only buy the start. I read the comics and the DV guy.
Yeah,
I've been reading comics in the high lowest family circus. So I study comics. I like drawing myself. I draw. And
yeah.
also another thing is your son teaches stuff without telling you. My nephew one day decided they're having show and tell. So he wanted to tell one of his dads. He decided to take his rare comic book collection to the show and tell one day.
Wow. Did he bring it
He's
back?
no, he stuffed it all in a little backpack without telling his dad. Like
Okay.
these are like rare edition comics.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I have an issue of the first issue of Miles Morales,
Oh,
and
really?
it's graded and everything. So I showed my son. I'm like, "Hey, Miles, you're Miles. This is also Miles." And his first response was, "Can we open it?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." And he couldn't understand. It's
Hey,
right here. Why can't I open it? And I said,
yeah,
"Oh, when you get older." He goes, "But I can read it now." And I said, "No, that's not what to tell you. There's reasons for this, man. It's an investment." And he
yeah,
couldn't understand.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he took all his rare, like what, 20 of them in his backpack and took it to school and took it out all crumpled and showed my brother was livid. But I had
I
to
can
make him
imagine.
understand. And I had to make him understand. Like, you gotta understand. He doesn't understand. He's showing something of his dad's. He wants to take something dad, right? You know, so
Yeah,
that's
his mind is not thinking.
yeah.
His mind is not tainted yet in terms of like making money off of something. It's just like I see it, I
So
like it, I want to read it.
so like when I see
That
your son like taking your scarf, I thought it was so cute. I said, "Oh, he's taking something of dad's, you know, something part
yeah,
of daddy will take him when he go because
yeah.
you go to
I
work."
take it as a compliment.
Yeah, it is. It is actually a great. It's a great also attachment emotion, right? Because he doesn't
Yes,
want, you're not, even though you're working at home, right? But still,
yeah,
because he's at school, he'd rather be at
correct.
home with dad, right? He doesn't see it that
Ah,
way. Like
that's a good way of seeing
when I
that.
was seeing my sister, how many times my nephew, my younger one, he got sick so many times because he went to home with Uncle Phil and
Yeah,
watch TV and make hot chocolate and cookies and all. He didn't want to go to school, so he also
mm,
we knew he always fake his sickness. So, like once a month, I'm not feeling too good. Can I stay home with Uncle Phil? So it's a compliment. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, of
So like,
course.
but we did to make a story complete. We did find the ring when they were moving to
Mhm.
Oshawa from Pickering,
Okay,
and where we found the ring was in his police outfit boot. It was in the what happened? We figured what when he must have come home or something early because he just thought he come home early. So she must
yeah,
have panicked that age and just threw it in the boot. So we did find the ring.
it's good you finally found it, but that's the
But we
most
looked.
random place to find it.
No, we didn't. I mean, never thought looking in his boot. We
Who
looked at
would think that?
already. Yeah, yeah. That's so funny. So how you doing? Good?
Good, good. I we got a dog actually. We got a new addition to our family.
Oh, wow. What kind of dog you got?
He's a golden doodle.
A golden doodle. Wow.
Yeah, he's actually right here.
Oh, you gonna
Ah,
pick him up? Oh my God, he looks like an Airedale. Oh, so cute. Oh my God. Oh,
yeah,
Mr.
he's
Muggs. Mr.
yeah,
Muggs.
Mr. Muggs. You remember that book, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's going to kid. Yeah, Mr. Muggs goes to school. Mr. Muggs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why you
Yeah,
should
so his
like
name is
what's that show? Did you want the Shaggy Dog with like Mr. Muggs? Remember that?
yeah.
The Walt Disney. They had two sequels: the Shaggy DA, the Shaggy Dog with Dean Martin or whatever. Not Dean Martin. What the heck his name? The guy the actor Dean Jones, right? So
Yes.
Mr. Muggs, the Shaggy Dog. Yeah, I'm a big time Mr. Muggs fan.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. You're like the second person I've ever spoken to that knew who Mr. Muggs was.
Oh yeah, they had like this whole series. You can still get them in the
Yeah, I used to
library.
read it when I was in school, like very small. It was one of my first
Yeah,
books to learn how to read.
yeah. Mr. Muggs always gets in trouble with the leash and all that, and it gets the other
Hmm.
dogs involved. I still remember all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
Wow,
pathetic.
what a memory.
Yeah, yeah. I know what a memory. Eh? Yeah, it's so cool. So I'm gonna ask you just a couple of questions on you. You can only give me your opinion. You don't want to be neutral about it. So what's your whole take on the whole sign thing? The whole
Those full sorry.
changing the sign from Dundas. What do you think about that? What's your take on that?
Uh, ooh, you got to start with the hard questions first, huh?
Yeah,
Uh, for myself, now I'm thinking as a finance person, uh, we have a lot of things that need to be taken care of before this. And I think there was recently a vote, and I think it was 70 something percent of people disagreed with it.
yeah,
I'm all about priorities. I understand why there was, I guess, um, a yearning to take this on. However, on the other hand, I see our city struggling with a lot.
yeah,
We're struggling with housing, homelessness. Not to say that the money that this cost would take away all those problems. I think it just shows that many people have different priorities because perhaps their needs, some people's needs are being met more than others.
yeah.
So they have a different perspective.
Yep.
So,
And
yeah,
I also heard that they got to rechange the sign because they just found out that the name they changed it to has some sort of ethical racism, right? Or whatever. Yeah, that's what I heard.
yeah. I mean, those things are never easy,
But the thing
you know.
is, I was looking at this. I was thinking this morning about the whole sign thing. You know what? The whole forefront is all the people that settle in Canada are all white. Or like, I mean, these are the lawmakers are all put it basically they're all white.
Hmm.
All the signs are made from white people, and they're all and a lot of them are full of racism. Not just one. I mean, this city's built. Put it this way: this city was built on rules based by white men. The city was built
Yeah,
and grew by the backs of working class immigrants, basically.
agreed, agreed,
So
absolutely agreed.
it's so true, right? Because why do we, as you know, as you're a black man, I'm a brown man, whatever, all the races I grew up as yours and you grew up, like why do we have to work three times as hard to ourselves,
Hmm.
Hard, like you've seen it before, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So yeah, it's I don't want to get too much into it, but uh, a lot of people have different opinions, and speak people I've spoken to in my communities kind of scratch their head about it. However, I will say that again, I do understand. Doesn't necessarily mean agree. Like right
yeah.
now, we just have a bunch of other things we got to
Yeah.
worry about right now.
Do you also think it's also like we're trying to like kind of like trying to erase that part of that history, like by taking that sign down or what? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people
Like
will always go ahead.
even like in the movies, like like they have the Blues Brothers, put the Blues Brothers in all these movies on like sometimes on TV or like even like they edit now. Like they like Blues Brothers, like Cap Calloway uses the N word twice in the movie. Like take that out, right?
Yeah,
But that's not saying he's a racist
right.
because he's a black man. But that's part of his core, right? The way he talks, right? That's the way he was back in the 70s.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the people that were very vocal about pushing for this, they have every reason to push for these things. This is something that is important to them, and if they're at, it takes a lot for someone to be at the point of pushing for this when there are other respective problems, and it just shows you just how important it is to them.
Yeah.
So, uh, just because I have a different perspective, I don't understand it. I'm always willing to learn. I don't know much about it. I know it happened, and I knew like my first reaction was like, "Oh, we have this, and this." But I think for others who are in, especially like in the indigenous communities, they may have different feelings about it than
Yeah.
I do,
Like
right?
even in
And
the channel CHCH channel 11, they have these old sitcoms back then, right? But they put at the beginning. What I like they don't cut it. So they put at the beginning of each episode like according these are the ways used back then. We're just putting that to just to show the difference and what was wrong back then. They made us some I don't know what the wording is,
Mhm.
but I'm glad they left it. So when people watch it, they go early. Not like you watch you like Little House of Parrot. They use some of the racial words like even like all the family. Jefferson used
Yeah, absolutely,
and
absolutely.
but I'm glad because when they makes a discussion and people like when Jefferson used to watch it go, you talk like that? I go, yeah, wow, I can't believe you got. They go, I can't believe you got away with
Yeah.
that. I said, well, you know what? They didn't get away with it. It was part of mainstream media. It was part of mainstream media.
Mhm.
That's the way they present themselves, right? Like even
Yeah.
like now, like even like some of these sick, like we have a sitcom here about in Canada with the Asian guy or the grocery store.
Yep. I think yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I didn't watch too much of it, but I thought it was kind of like stereotyped, you know? It's like the accents were well Asian with an American with an English, verse or whatever, you know. It's kind of like I don't know, but I kind of
Yeah, yeah,
like I go like and I go I know I'm Asian friends. I talk we don't talk like that. I know, but that's American versions of presenting stuff, you know. Like they always have this struggle.
right.
I don't know why not all big in
Yeah,
Canada as much as America. They have the struggle till this day about presenting the black man in an intelligent form or a black woman. Like for example, when anybody gets announced in the Senate, like that black woman got announced in the Senate. She was the first black woman. I go, well, obviously you know she's black. Why are you mentioning it? It's just
yeah, yeah.
well, just to say
And
she's the first woman to graduate from college, whatever, some sort of degree, and she's the first one to be top in her course. Like my friend Lily, she's Asian Jamaican. Sorry, Chinese Jamaican, and she was the top of her class for anesthesiology, and she graduated and they made an announcement. She's the top of her class. She didn't say she's Asian. We knew that she is Asian. Just look at her, right?
mhm.
But they just made that she's the top. She's got the top marks out of in the last 10 years or whatever. Like that's how she stood out and got her opportunity as a job. I
Mhm.
mean, that's great. That's like that. So I found it funny when they say
Yeah,
that
but
the
going back to your question though, at the end of the day, we live in a fairly democratic society, and this is the will of the people, and me, I'm all about the people. If the people want it, they use their feet and they vote for it, and it is to be respected regardless of any of our views, because as it is right now, more people think this is important for things that go beyond whatever we're experiencing. We're talking about the past, we're talking about the present and the future, right? So it's very important to obviously have opinions and agree or disagree, but it's also important to recognize um, this is important to people,
yeah.
right? And it's just another thing that okay, we did this. What do we do next? What do we do to shape our city into a city that we can say that we're proud of and welcomed it?
Yeah, that's true. And even like one of my pieces is like we have Black Month, Asian Month, or whatever. For me, that's like it's kind of like it's nice, it's great recognition and history of the Black community or Asian, or any background community in growing up Toronto. But I think is why do we have that? I mean, it shouldn't have to be like that. Like we're still kind of segregated in a way because if we're like the first postal man, like my brother-in-law, his uncle was the first Black cop in Toronto, right?
Hmm.
And I met him quite a few times. Very nice guy, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and he told me the history going to being the first time being a cop. He when it after like work, they'd have to go to these certain cop bars downtown, but he was allowed in certain bars because he's black, right? But
right.
but he even said back then, he says, I don't know why we have these different segregated months of. I mean, it's like promoting Black history and all that, but it should be just throughout the whole year. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
just like yeah,
And
it's
depending on the generation of depending on the generation the person's coming from, they will definitely have a different view, right? I
yeah,
don't
like you
know.
maybe your son's son will say like, "What do you have a Black month for? What's that all about? We already have Black everywhere we have it's part of our core."
Absolutely, absolutely. And we
Yeah,
and you think
they're
about, let's say, my grandfather's generation, they would have radically different views from the views that are today, right? And
yeah.
it's it's really, I think that's really cool to see that the progression and how
Oh
things are
yeah,
changing
yeah,
with, right?
yeah. Like even like when I grew up in the '70s, my dad's dark, so he got mistaken being black all the time, but he's like Spanish Indian, right?
Mm,
My mom was white Irish, so like I didn't know the difference until I started going to grade school. And they started pointing out to me,
yeah,
like
yeah,
even downtown, we go to like some of these restaurants, and like they say, tell my dad you can go in the back and get our food, and your mom and your son, your kids, because we look white back then. Our kids, the three of
right,
us,
right.
we can go to the front, but dad could go to the back. Back in the '70s, this is going on, right? You know,
Wow.
yeah, it was half. This is like growing. I grew up with like the racism, like all the different, like every job I've been to, every organization, even the military has
Yeah,
racism. It's always there. I'm not saying it's always there. It's still there, right? To this door,
yeah.
to this day. I'll
What's
give you an
that?
example. I did my basic training in Cornwall in '86. So it was me. There was only me and one black guy, a black guy, Higgins. His name was Higgins. So really,
Okay.
two colored guys in the whole out of 84 guys doing the basic training, broke out in squad. So we there's a point of the training where you do your field exercises. So they give you this cam. It's called a cam stick. It's a camouflage. It's like a lipstick. It's like
Yep.
a lipstick thing. It's full of camouflage. You put on your face, right? So our petty officer, old school white, he says, "You two don't need that." But he's not even thinking like, what does that mean? All my buddies are like, what the heck is he talking about? You don't need that
Yeah, yeah,
because you what people know you wear camouflage to detract the light from the
yep,
sun or the moon if you're undercover or in the bush. That's why they wear
yeah, yeah.
camouflage. People that say they wear for makeup, it's not makeup. It's because you gotta take a shine off your
Ah,
face. Because I had a tan, but I was in the did my course toward the end. It was like June, so I had a dark tan. I was tanning outside, and then my
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we're dark. So that's why he make these comments like you don't need that, you don't need that. But that still to this day exists. Like there's aspects of the military. They even have like Aryan organizations. People don't know that in many armed forces around the world. Aryan organizations. Yeah, but they're not on the forefront. They're on the back,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
get
yeah. But the fact that they exist is
oh yeah, yeah, they do, and it's till
appalling.
this day. People don't believe that. I go, yeah, it's happened. Like
Yeah.
me and Higgins are the only two colored people in '86, and then Bo, my friend Jackson, he's a black guy in Halifax, retired in Halifax. He's one of the first black guys to be promoted to sergeant or steward out of maybe 20 people. Like now he's retired, but he retired as a
Yeah.
petty officer, sergeant, same as the Navy, and he retired there. And his name's Tyrone Bo Jackson, we call him, right? But he went through all kinds of reasons. And I didn't like talk about him back then, but like Halifax, he almost got charged because he had racial petty officers. Even when I was on a ship, when I was on a ship, I was called like
Mhm.
all kinds of names from my petty officer because he's old school, like he's from the prairies. He's like get that thing,
Yeah.
yeah, effing this, yeah. Is it really?
Wow, dude.
Oh
And
yeah,
you still kept
it,
on.
oh yeah, you have to get a job. Yeah, you have no choice. You have to pay orders a lot. You can't really get a thing because think about your sergeant. But that happens. It exists. Like
Absolutely.
I don't like. Can you say honest? Like every job you've been, there's a bit of racism in everything you've been to. Like every job or organization or position, would you say?
If there's been what, sorry?
Would you say like for me, like any job I've had has always been good. Any organization or any volunteer work, there's always been a bit of racism there among people. Not on the forefront, but you can tell.
Uh, Not all, but yeah, there have been some where it's just like, whoa, okay. It's like right there, and you're kind of uh stunned.
Yeah, like it's some. Would you like even like people you least suspect of like really you think like that? You're you know
Yeah, exactly.
like even like now with city council, like the whole thing was now we've got five or four well, we got Moyes, we got Amber Morty,
Mhm.
Osman Malik, Jamal Myers, who's the other one?
Yeah.
There's five of them. Alejandro, they're all ethnic backgrounds, right? That's nice to see,
Mhm.
right? Which is overdue, unfortunately, because like you said, Toronto's what 86, 70% or 80% immigration, ethnic backgrounds.
Something like that, yeah.
But still, we have these old counselors still kicking in, still sitting there doing. Well, I'll give you okay. Let's jump to subject here. I
Okay.
just saw last week that they're going to pass this property tax budget rise in budget. Can you speak? Rise in property tax, right? And they said, okay, it's going to be a what 9%, and the feds don't kick in, it's going to be 16% or whatever like that, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I saw it, right, I lost. I said, are you serious? You're not representing the people. Any counselor, this is my opinion, any counselors that signs off on that, you're not representing all your people. You're representing the elite rich in your ward. Because example, property taxes rising. Just said this on the paper. I just said this last week before they even talked about it. Come down the chain, like it's going to affect the us renters because property managers are going to raise the rent because there's no control of rent, right?
Mhm.
And that's what's going to happen. Food's going up.
But I think yeah, in terms of raising the rent, that's happening anyways. That's gonna
Yeah, but
happen.
I'm saying like when they raise if a property owner like building this one like the owner of this building, of course he's gonna raise it. He's gonna raise the rent because he's got to pay more property tax. There's no control. There's
Yeah.
no limit on it. So that's gonna affect low income renters, like people struggling just to pay their
Yeah.
bills. So like,
Here's how but I will challenge you on that. I think
okay, you're the finance guy. You tell me that yeah.
I would say that it is well overdue. I think the years that we had increases below the rate of inflation have cost the city dearly. I will also say though that the city needs more ways to fund itself other than property taxes.
Yeah.
The issue with that is that we would have to go through the province to do that, and the province would automatically shoot it down. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And this is all we could really do. And yeah, nobody wants taxes to go up.
But like you said earlier, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But everybody wants things working.
Yeah.
Everybody wants things looking nice. Everyone wants certain things. And you know, this is what it costs. For example, in Markham's property tax rate is higher than Toronto's. Toronto's, I think, is still one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the GTA. In Windsor, you pay higher property taxes than you do here.
In Toronto, really?
Yep. And for what you get here and what you pay, honestly, it's a bargain. I hate to say it to everybody, but
you said earlier just now, you said it's been put off for so many years, and that's a problem, right? Like they didn't raise the
that's a problem.
taxes. Yeah, and they should have. And you said it I think in your first interview, you said they should raise property taxes every year. Not
Yeah.
not to an extreme amount like now.
Here's the issue. It's become an election thing, right? Where it's like, okay, I won't raise your taxes, elect me, and then we get elected, and then it's like it just creates this bad precedent where it's
and this
like,
is what
okay,
happened, right? This 9% is just an accumulation of not being raising taxes back in the last so many years. You know, if they did it like I said, gradual like Windsor and all, like, that'd be acceptable. But because it's just like a bang, we're not paying low property tax for the last what 5-7 years. Yours now 16% you're gonna be paying out of your pockets. Like, come on, you know, whose fault is that? It's not our fault, you know.
Honestly, like I try to tell this people that you're getting a bargain for what you pay for in Toronto. It is a straight bargain. You compare it to anywhere else, you pay higher property taxes, you get less. And you know, I think a lot of people need to understand that. Now, everybody, I get it. You know, people's salaries aren't going up with this increase. A lot of things are not going up. Food is going up, but your salaries are not going up to match it, and people are really squeezed. And there are a lot of solutions that could be explored, but the issue is that we need the province to give us those, I guess, those powers. For example, I believe in New York, they have like payroll taxes. So let's say if you're working in New York and you live in New Jersey, you'll pay a tax because you're basically getting paid.
I agree with that. They talked about that before in Toronto. Like, you know, if you live outside the city, you should pay, you know.
Yeah. And if you look at the percentage of people who actually work in the city and don't live in the city, it's pretty high, especially with police, right? So they use the roads, they use the services, and then they're like, okay, I'm out.
I can take your video. I can take your video every morning, weekday, every week. I live by the 401. Between 6 o'clock and rush hour, between at 9, all the way from Pickering, it's backed up traffic going westbound, all the way to Kiel. And you know what? Like you said, they're all coming out of town.
Yeah. You know? And yeah, they don't pay. So I get property taxes not being as respected as they should, because they pay for a lot in the city, and we need to expand our revenue sources. But we're not really difficult place. That's what it is. And
what do you think about capping it? Like, say instead of like everybody paying that, if it's going to be 11%, 16%, what's going to come? If the feds will kick in, so say cap it, not like cap it, just say cater it to the people that can afford it. I mean,
but then everybody will be crying poor then.
No, but go by not go by ascertain it by what you make per income. Like, you know, like you can go.
Yeah, I mean, there are plus and minuses to that as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking like say I'm on a pension, right? So I make a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Whereas like you or somebody else makes about 120 grand. So like I'm gonna pay the property tax, right? I mean,
the taxation method that is used currently is not really progressive. To be honest with you, it does deserve a change. Is that going to happen?
You're a prime example. You know all these changes that happen that need to be happening. Like you know, as an analyst, you go like, this is out of date, this is out of date. Like you said, this whole thing like that, it's out of date. You know, and it's all this out of date stuff that has not been caught up and being changed is not affecting everybody. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like I've spoken to a lot of property tax owners, and a lot of them don't know how property taxes work. Everyone knows they pay it, but if you were to ask, hey, how does it work? Do you know like why you're paying this amount? A lot, I wouldn't say a lot. A good portion of people would not be able to tell you. They just know they pay it, and that's
Well,
no fault of their own.
yeah, like they don't
I
know where the
think.
money's going, right?
Sorry.
They don't know where the money's going, like when they pay their taxes.
Yeah. So automatically, everyone takes their money personally. So if you say, give me X amount of dollars, of course you're going to want to know where it's going.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that the city's not explaining it. I think maybe the city's not explaining it well enough. I think things like, okay, for example, renters pay property taxes too.
Yeah.
And, I think before amalgamation, renters, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, renters would get a copy of like a tax breakdown. So they would understand how much of their rent is actually going to property taxes.
I never see that. It's the first time I.
Yeah,
That'll
yeah.
be a
So
first.
I was speaking to somebody, and yeah, they used to do stuff like that because
Yeah,
renters do
yeah.
pay taxes, right? And
Well,
they need to bring stuff like that.
in
Go ahead.
the budget that just passed. Sorry, the budget that just passed for raising the tax of property. Have they are they gonna do you know if they're gonna actually break it down like why they're gonna charge where it's gonna go? They're gonna put it on a piece of paper or on a form, whatever. Like, so you
I
say,
haven't looked at it yet myself,
yeah, I'm kind of
but I
curious. Yeah,
know I know a lot of people are confused about it, and because people take their money so personally, which they should, they work very hard for their money. They We have to be able to explain to people who, mind you, have different ways of learning and different ways of thinking, and that's a tough job for the city, how their money is being used. Because, for example, we'll pay property tax and we'll outside be like, oh, that's not done properly, that's not done properly, but I pay taxes. They take it personally. They think,
yeah.
oh, this is a slight on me.
Where's my taxes going? They all say that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there are many instances where the city is working very well and people don't make that connection, right? It's like one of the most depressing jobs I would say is a dentist.
Oh
People
yeah.
coming to you only when things are bad. It's never really positive, right? And it kind of feels like that because
Do you have
you
any
know
dentist? Do you have any dentist friends?
no, no,
I
no.
got a
But what I'm saying is taxation brings
yeah,
the worst out of people, right? Because people take their money personally because they work really hard, right? And you're
yeah.
like giving up a piece of your earnings for this abstract thing that might
Like
benefit you one day,
like two
may not
million
benefit.
dollar piece in Ottawa, my art piece. That where's that going? You know.
Yeah, right. So you can't be upset with people when it comes to that when they're like upset about it because they just don't see it. It's very abstract.
You think they'll feel a little at ease if they know where the money's going exactly? It's all broken down, like all listed. You think they'll feel like, oh, I feel better now, or what?
Yes, yes. Not all. Obviously, there's going to be some who just don't want to pay, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I think it needs to. We need to look at people who pay taxes more than just like, not to say the city does this intentionally, but like more than just an ATM
Okay, so when you heard this announcement last week, what was your reaction?
for the budget. Oh,
Yeah,
with
for the
the
property
tax
tax.
increase.
Yeah,
Honestly, I said it's about time. Long overdue.
you said that. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, okay, I can understand that, but overdue exactly, meaning like we just said, should have been every year. Like you said, election, they always cover no taxes, no no
yep.
increase.
If it was done years ago, we
Yeah,
wouldn't have we wouldn't have it this way. So it's like
that's
either
yeah.
pay now, pay later.
Okay, so you're the analyst. Break it down. So if we did it every year, raise the taxes, how much would it go by every year? Would you say? It's
Ooh, it'd have to be the above the rate of inflation. Now inflation obviously went pretty high these last couple
yeah.
years.
So say every year. Tell me, give us some numbers. What would you say for?
Oh, jeez.
Let's go 5 years back. I'm testing your calculating brain
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, for the most part, I think the difference would be about 300 and something dollars per year for a tax bill.
Every year increase.
Approximately, yeah, just a rough estimate,
So
but
what's that percentage wise? 2 point.
something like that. Like, it depends on the assessed value of the house and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
these tax raises, when they okay, so people think about, let's say, 2%, they think 2% of the total of their house,
yeah,
or not total of their house, but like the total of their taxes, which isn't really accurate. So it's people like, you're basically on a tax bill, they break down the calculation how it's calculated. If you're not a math person or you're not comfortable with numbers, you're going to see that a lot differently than someone who's comfortable with it.
yeah.
So there's that problem. Then it's a problem. Okay, you're asking me to give me money or give you money for a benefit that is like really abstract to me. So I feel like I'm not directly benefiting from the money that I'm giving you, which is no fault of the city because, you know, we got to think of it like as helping your community. There are people who don't feel attached to our community, right? So if you don't feel attached to the community and you feel like you're just giving money, you're getting nothing back, or you're feeling you're getting nothing back from the community.
Yeah, consensus and all.
You know, like, so let's say if you have a family and you put into the family pot, you can see the direct benefits of putting in the family pot. But if the family gets bigger and bigger and bigger,
Do you get a lot of like knowing your background? Do you get a lot of people coming to you about these questions?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you? So would you sign off like on this for the property increase? If you had an alternative as an analyst, what would you say? What would you say would be another solution? Not a solution, but another alternative than this whole 9% tax increase. Where else could they do it?
Where else can they do it? I mean, that's property taxes are their main source of revenue.
Yeah.
And if we and given the lack of taxation powers we have, it'd be a very difficult time finding any other alternative revenue sources that could bring as much as property
And you
taxes.
said earlier because the people live out of town, like because it's some of the one city does that, that brings a lot of revenue right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised the amount of people that don't live in Toronto that work in Toronto. Toronto is slowly becoming a, how do you put this?
Unlivable city,
A worker city
a worker
where you
city. Yeah.
do your job and you get out,
Hey Anthony, you want
right?
to
Because
sorry, want to cut to the next one? And almost got 1 minute and a half left. Want to go to the next one?
yeah, let's go.
Okay, so let's go. So next, we'll continue. So I want to ask you a couple also about council as well. So you want
Okay,
to take a break? I'll come back right away or what?
let's go. Let's power
Okay, so
through.
I'll sign up and I'll come back in 2 minutes.